Welcome everybody to the Chinchilla Picking Podcast. It is December the 31st, 2022. It is 12:22 p.m. And as always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and I am always here with Brandon Beaver. Well, not always. Sometimes I'm here with Nick Young, but right now I'm here with Brandon Beaver. Brandon, how's it going?
Doing all right, just getting over my third bout of COVID. So that's fun.
Right. That's why we missed our episode last week. If you're an avid follower of us, we apologize for that. Brandon was sick and out.
Yeah.
He's better now. You're back. You're back.
I'm better. I'm a lot better than I was a week ago. So that's good. I'm just they have me on that Paxlovid and it's got me a little out of it. Makes me feel better though. Like the COVID symptoms go away. I just get really like tired. So
We all get a little tired sometimes. I do want to say it's another year, guys, and another year I did not get a chance to hand out some smart glasses. I make that call every December, started December, end of November. I say, look, if we get hit X amount of people following us on Instagram, I will give away a free pair of smart glasses. We did not hit that goal again this year. So we're going to change some things up going into next year. We want to really grow rapidly. We really want to get out there and hit the road and start going around and talking more, and maybe put out a small little book on how to value a stock or how to value a company.
Well, we're growing pretty well. I mean, we grew 30% for this year. We had 21% more streams than we did a year before, but 30% more listeners for this year than we did the year prior. We were heard in 14 countries this year. 1,564 hours, more than 1,564 hours now of content put out. And that's more than 95% of podcasters in our business category.
I mean, I would say in all categories, we're probably in the top 30% as far as content that we've produced. 30%, I would say, top 30% content produced. And that's just because you have a lot of people out there that are actually syndicated that produce 2-3 shows a week, but that syndication pays for that. So
yeah, we're the workhorses for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
we're pumping it out for you guys. We want to help you guys. Our goal is just to help and help for free and really see if we can make a difference. And I always put this out there, guys. If anyone out listening has any questions, reach out to us, contact us. I try so hard to follow up on all DMs I get on Instagram. Brandon manages StockTwits, so if you're on StockTwits and you listen to us, your DM, and Brandon's usually gonna be the first one to reach out to you. TikTok, Brandon and I both try to jump in there on TikTok and see what we can do and manage that. But it's just the two of us. Unlike most other podcasters out there and other people out there that have like a team of people behind them, 3 or 4 people who are working for them, it is just Brandon and I. So we have lives, we have other things going on in our lives. We don't always can't get back as quickly as we would like to, but we'll do our best to respond. So please reach out to us, ask us questions.
We still have somebody that wants to get on the show.
Yeah. Who wants to get on the show?
You remember the email we got?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. And I apologize to that person. We just get caught up in this thing called life, and it just it gets you. It gets you.
We have a best-selling author that wants to be on the show,
and we haven't responded back. Yeah. And it's not personal. We didn't mean to do that. We just, like I said, we get caught up in this thing called life, and going around this big blue ball. I will say this, guys. It's been a fun year. It's been a great year. We're going to recap it here in a minute, and kind of go over some things. I know you guys are listening. You want to get into stock and investment and recap some things we learned from this year, and then looking to go ahead and how do we invest going forward? And that's how we'll end the show, is how do we invest in Q1 of next year, what we're expecting to see, yada, yada, yada. Before we get into that, I do want to say, yes, if you guys are listening, you're in Cincinnati and you want to hang out, I will be hanging out after work at F45 Training in Liberty Township. No, I am not getting paid to do this plug for them. I just really enjoy Uriel, the trainer. He's the head trainer there, F45 training, Liberty Township. Join me. I'll be doing the 5:30 or 6:30 sessions, and it's a joy. It's a fun. You'll be worn out. Please join me there. But that's what I'm going to be doing. I was doing this back in October. I had to fall away for had things going on in life. Life happened, and now I'm heading back. So, Brandon, what are you doing for the New Year's? Anything?
No, we gotta stay in. Girlfriend's still sick.
No, I meant like it's like I'm going back to the training I was doing earlier this year. What do you
No, I got a new job. That's good. But no,
Okay.
I don't really do the whole like New Year's new me thing. I just, because if I do, I won't follow through with it.
But I mean, but here's my pushback to people who say that. I'm like, look, if you make a change in June, and what's going to make you want to keep that change? If you make a change in May or in October, whenever you make a change, you need to make that change. And if it helps your life, it's great and it's powerful. And I want people to make changes that are going to have positive impact on their life. Why not do it on a nice even break like this? If like I'll give the training for me, right?
Yeah.
This was something I was doing and I enjoyed it, and I had to step away from it for a little bit, and things started getting in gear, and the holidays hit, and I was like, all right, I have to put this off. Let me put it off until New Year's, and we'll do it then, step back. It just happened to work out that way. It's not necessarily a New Year's resolution, but any time is a good time to make a change, is my point. And if you have a New Year's, at least you have time to plan and prepare and get yourself ready for whatever change that is in your life.
Yeah. For some of those people, it might be to sell GameStop.
Finally, right? Like, okay, I've taken enough loss on this. I might want to sell GameStop. I know there's one of our listeners. His name is Anthony. I won't give his last name, but Anthony had come to me a while back, and he owned AMC, and his cost basis was in the 20s. And I hope he sold, because it's now below 10. And I was telling him, every time he would ask me about AMC, I said, look, man, the CEO has gone on publicly multiple times, more than once. He has gone on publicly and said, do not buy our stock. It is overvalued. I mean, when the CEO of a company says that publicly more than once, that's not, I mean, I would sell that stock. I would do a put.
It's at $4.04 right now. That's where it deserves to be.
Right. And then that's probably rightfully priced right there at $4 and some odd cents. And that's probably, GameStop should probably be around that price too, but it is what it is, So let's look back 2022. Let's look back and let's talk about some of our calls, some of our misses, some where we just, flat out lost some money, and some where we just made a ton of money. Brandon, start us off. What do you remember? What's your biggest recalls moments of 2022?
I told you tech was going to be tough. I told you tech would be tough and NASDAQ would be tough. NASDAQ is down. Let's see, what is it? 30% for the year almost. Said the entire market would be tough. The S&P 500 is down about 20%. The Dow, actually the best performer right now, is I think down now around 7%, 8%. So yeah, we were right about the market being tough. We were right about tech being the worst of it. We were right about the high flying companies not being high flying anymore because of the Federal Reserve raising interest rates and what kind of environment that would bring. We were right about consumer staples outperforming the S&P 500. I was wrong about utilities. I thought utilities would have some troubles, but utilities actually wound up being the best performing sector of the S&P 500 this year. Utilities and energy did. I don't know. Going forward, though, I don't know. Energy to me.
Well, hold on. Before we go forward, I got some things I want to cover about this past year, because I want us to be, go over the year, why we made some calls, why we didn't. One of the things I want to talk about, you brought up energy, and you knew I told you before the show, this is something I'm going to talk about. So there was a period, I believe it was like right before Ukraine was invaded by Russia. and this when I started my oil rant every week, and we did it for about 2 months, and I kept looking into things and researching things and finding out more and more and more as to why we don't have so many rigs open up, why we don't have so many licenses. And I started digging and giving you guys information on the show. As you know, hey, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'm digging up, here's what I'm seeing. And I was talking about the administration and how when they first moved in and took over, they immediately put a halt on any new licenses for oil drilling and rigs. They have since reinstated a lot of those, which is great. However, at that time, it really cut back on the amount of oil that was being produced. And then we had the Ukraine and Russia event going in. And I kept saying, I don't see a reason why oil companies are so low right now. They should be moving higher. And I didn't quite understand it. And I don't know if it was like a Michael Blurry moment or not. I don't want to compare myself to him because he's a very smart, intelligent man. And I'm nowhere in that caliber. But do I have and so I don't want to compare myself to him, but what I saw was the oil should be higher, and I felt like it was being held down for some reason in price. Brandon, you had a comment?
No, that wasn't
Okay.
mine. That was yours.
That was mine. Okay. So
No, but I mean, I think that, like, you have a lot of the experience and understanding of how market cycles work. I've got my books I read to make up for the experience that you have over me. But it was an easy call, I think, this year, just to say that it was going to be a tough market and that energy was going to outperform.
Was it an easy call? Because at first, a lot of people, I did get some questions on Instagram, and some people were doubting me. And you even had some questions. You didn't doubt me, but you had some questions for me regarding that. And oil would go up and down, and sometimes it would go down. And I'm talking about like the oil companies, the stocks, the Exxons, the Chevrons, the Conocos, the rigs, the Transoceans, all I mean, the Schlumbergers, that's always fun to say, but these companies, they were going down, and when they should have been going up. And I kept saying, like, this needs to be a buying time for these companies, because oil price is going to continue to go higher. It's going to hit that $100 barrel range. It did hit that. It went above the $100 barrel range, went up to like 120 at one point. And so it was a good year for oil. I don't know if it was an easy call. It's hard. It's very hard to step out and say things when nobody else is saying it with you on like TV, on CNBC or Bloomberg. You have another analyst saying the exact same thing. I think that's hard, because then you feel like you're the only one that's calling this out and questioning, why is this happening?
Well, I mean, maybe not so much as the energy call, maybe not that, but just the fact that this year was going to be tough. Rewind back to January when we were having the last bits of the Santa Claus rally going into February, and the market was looking really nice and it was going up, and we were yelling, "Sell this rally." We were telling everybody to sell it, and that was an easy call for me because we knew the Federal Reserve was going to raise interest rates, that all of the central banks in the world were telling you exactly what they were going to do, and they were coming out and they were saying that, like, there's going to be pain. And I think for people who didn't take their word for it, that was maybe a little bit tougher of a year. But I think it was an easy call to say that this was going to be a rough year for the market. Next year, I don't think is going to be as easy to figure out.
All right. Well, I disagree with you, but again, let's go into one more another little thing which we did right this year was during the June lows, right? I think on our podcast we started about end of May, and we started saying, guys, slowly buy in. I started using my $1,000. Say you have $1,000 in your Robinhood account or Fidelity account or whatever you, and I said, start putting $100 a week into this market and start building positions in companies. And I use it at that 1,000 because it's a nice even number, right? So that $100 a week makes sense. And you agreed, Brandon, and we both agreed. We were both on an agreement saying start building positions. And then June started getting low, and it bottomed out. And I think I was all cash. I was 100% all in. And I had a lot of friends who are big time traders. They move way more money than me. They're moving like 7-8 figures worth of money. on a monthly basis, and they were telling me, "You're crazy. Why are you all in right now?" And you and I had both agreed that during that, that was a time to buy, because it was moving down so fast, so heavy, that they were going to be oversold, and you could see that overselling happening, and you could sense it, that we're going to oversell this market, and I'm going to get a nice bump up. And we did. And I made a ton of money during that time in July. I was very happy with my returns. July, August. If you listen to our shows, then I was on here ecstatic. I was coming in happy because I had just made a ton of money, right? I mean, it was a great moment. But I mean, seeing that happen was very, if you were listening to us during that time, got a lot of good experience in understanding why it was going to be oversold. And I think it was due to everybody selling so fast, so quick. And there was some fundamental reasons there, but there wasn't a whole lot of fundamental reasons to go that fast.
Yeah, people were pricing in the apocalypse.
And the apocalypse hadn't happened yet. I mean, inflation was still going higher. It hadn't peaked yet in June. So there was that concern. I get that concern. That was a real concern. The Fed, I don't know, was the Fed actually cutting rates at that time? I don't believe they were. They're doing their first rate cut. Yeah, they're doing their first rate cut.
I think it was close to that time period, but yeah.
So I mean, you had that happening as well. Everybody's like, "Oh, the Fed's going to start cutting rates tremendously fast, and inflation continues to go higher." Well, I mean, that should have been.
I want to say their first cut was March, but I could be wrong.
I think you're wrong. I think it's later on in the year. I have to look that up. But the Fed finally starting to cut rates was a sign. Okay, now the government's starting to do what the Fed is starting to do what its mandate asks them to do. Finally, they're starting to do what they've been mandated to do, which is curb inflation, keep it at a low amount, which is 2%. That's where they've been mandated to keep. That's one of their two goals as the Fed is inflation and keep it around 2%. So they were actually starting to do their job, and that should have been a good sign. Now it takes months and months to see the results of those, and you hope that it's going to be a positive result. The latest inflation report was positive in comparison. I still think we have a long way to go because inflation is still over 7%. That's 5% away from that 2% range, which that's their goal of mandate to be in. So they have a long way to go, but we could be on the right path there.
I don't know. As soon as we get that inflation report, that 7%, then the federal government decides to pass a $1.64 trillion spending bill.
Well, I mean, all right. So yes, yeah. No matter what, I mean. So you could say, Democrats, Republicans, both parties have passed spending bills before, right? You have to pass a spending bill for the government to continue running. Both parties are at fault for overspending and adding pork to this. This is what both parties do, and it's very frustrating for us as regular Americans, especially if we have money we're trying to make in investments and growth, when the government just overspends. I've consistently said one of the best things that happened during the Bill Clinton era was the pay as you go. Pay as you go, and that's what the government needs to get back to, is pay as you go. And that way, that will help us out, because our goal on this show, we've said our mission statement is to help everybody make money. So for us as Chinchilla Picking, how do we help everybody make money? If the government's doing pay as you go, then we could count on the government to be balanced and in order, and we can make trades effectively based off just the fundamentals of those companies that we're looking at.
Yeah, and it's non-inflationary spending because it's being paid for.
Exactly.
We had zero deficit. We had zero deficit in the year 2000.
Because of pay as you go. And we all know what happened was you had the dot-com bubble, and then we had 9/11, and those two things combined pushed us to get out of pay as you go. And I get it, and I don't get it at the same time. You know what I mean? And so, but right now, I'm gonna end with talking about like some of the things I've gotten wrong this year. Right? So I had a horrible November and December as far as making calls. I'll tell you I have long-term investments. I've talked about my long-term investments. I am currently down on two of them. One of them was just a short-term trade that is now turned into a long-term investment. That's Tesla. And that's killing me right now. I'm down a lot, right? I'm down 30% on my investment on Tesla. I am currently down about 10% on Intel. That's another long-term investment I have as well. On Cooler, I am just positive, but not by much, but I am positive because they just had a recent retraction of the stock. And I believe that is retail traders taking their money out before the end of the year, because I don't see any big insider sales in Cooler. I don't. Last year we had a big insider sale from the CEO, and this was a new company, and the company had finally started to. The stock price started to move. I don't blame him. He probably wanted to buy his house or pay it off and be debt free, and that way he could focus on the company more. But those are my and Nvidia's been a long term, but I told you guys I got out of that when it hit its high, and I had not gone back in. So right now, my 3 long-term holds that I'm currently holding is Intel, Cooler, and Tesla, and I'm positive on only one of those. But those are my long-term positions. I got Intel wrong. I thought it would be a great year for Intel. That was one I got wrong. The chip makers really suffered. It had to do with the China exposure of China not manufacturing what they wanted to. The trade agreements with the United States and China was really restricting moving chips, like the semiconductor chips, back and forth between the two countries. That hurt the Intel stock. And then there wasn't as much demand for PCs, which Intel makes a lot of money off of the PC market. And so that really hurt them as well, because a lot of people bought during the COVID pandemic era, and they got new equipment during that time. So those are some of the headwinds for Intel. Tesla, we were all well aware of what the headwinds are for them. Cooler is signing contracts. They just the past 2 weeks they've announced, because I said they're going to start selling, and they're going to start going to consumers and making deals. And they've announced 2 big deals the past 2 weeks, and they are going to be making deals. And so they have now in these deals are signing, guys, for Cooler Technology Group. They are contracts, and it's going to be continuous revenue coming in year over year that should cover all their costs at their current operating costs. And so that's why Cooler looks good. As they sign more contracts, they should start seeing profitability. When a new company comes out and they're just researching, yes, they're not profitable because they're spending all this money on research and development. But once they start selling and going to consumers, that's when they start making some revenue and hopefully profitability. But Brandon, that's my long-term holds. That's basically a recap of my year. Do you have any other recaps before we move forward looking into Q1?
Yeah, Meta, not very good for me. Down somewhere around like 40%. My best one for this year, actually, so far was a trade. Actually 2 trades. Allegheny Corporation. Thank you, Warren Buffett, for buying Allegheny, because that was a nice gain for me. I think it was like 15%, 20%, maybe close to that. And then and I happened to be overweight on it too, which made me very happy. And then FedEx was about a 30% gain on a trade, and I sold it right before it tanked. And I just I happened to be I was in a position where I didn't know if I should hold it or not. And I usually side with my skepticism, and I sold it right before an earnings report, and an earnings report tanked that stock big time. So glad I got rid of it. And the reason why I was iffy about it, first of all, they've been underperforming UPS both as a business and as a stock for years. And second of all, I thought we were going into a recession. I still think that. And I thought holding FedEx going into a recession, I would just be mad to do that. So got rid of that just in time. But Meta has been my biggest, I wouldn't call it a mistake, because I still think holding on to it's a good idea. And when you have companies like Meta, the world of the highest performers at one point and doing really well, 50% dips, 40 to 50% dips, stuff like that. That's not it's not out of the norm. And oftentimes if you just wait it out and you hold on to it and cost average down, things like that, then you wind up being better off in the long run anyway. So still got that stock, still got Meta. One thing I was looking at, Dave, just looking out to the future real quick, was at Walmart in Middletown. And I noticed that there were 3 PlayStation 5s on the shelf. And that's something that's different from a year ago, you know. But it's something that should vie well for video game makers. My problem is other than Activision right now, because Microsoft's about to buy it out, if as long as it's approved by the federal government, I can't really find anything with a good balance sheet. You would think, Dave, my favorite video game of all time, Red Dead, and I like the Grand Theft Autos and stuff like that. That Take-Two Interactive would be a buy right now, but their last quarter was just bad. They lost about $260 million. They've only got $1.4 billion in cash and short-term investments. Their balance sheet is it's kind of a wreck. And they're spending a lot of money to get GTA 6 up and running, which will probably be here in 2024. They bought Zynga for $11 billion, which I hated. That was my one criticism of them when we profiled them on this show earlier in the year, I think it was. And they're just spending too much money, and too much money is coming off of the balance sheet. And quite frankly, they don't have enough to cover for it. And it's a little bit of a scary situation for Take-Two. Same thing with EA Sports. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, man. So, I mean, yeah, these video game makers had a trouble year because COVID pandemic, everybody was caught up inside, and that was. I know we keep bringing this up. We're always like, can we stop talking about the COVID pandemic? But it has ripple effects from it. In 2020, everybody was buying up a lot of video game systems. It was a great year for Meta and the Meta Quest. It had the biggest sales they've ever had for VR in the history of VR. The biggest sales was in 2020. And I talked about how they were moving up there, and they were number 3 as far as sales, right behind Xbox and PlayStation, and ahead of Nintendo Switch at that time. And that was because of 2 things. Number one, VR was coming out with a system that was affordable at that time, and they had games that were good at that time. And Nintendo Switch was having problems in producing their consoles, and you couldn't find a Nintendo Switch anywhere for a while because of issues that Nintendo was having. So that allowed the Meta Quest to jump into the number 3 spot as far as consoles sold for a very short window, but they did it, and people bought a lot, and so now people are not buying as many, and that hurt the VR system and that hurt Meta Quest. But people bought a lot of consoles, right?
Yep.
Now we don't need as many consoles because everybody has consoles. PlayStation 5s is, everybody has been lining up, and they've been in back order forever, and they got them. The thing I worry, Brandon, though, about these consoles is that, the China manufacturing number just came out this past week, and it was not good. There was a big contraction in the percent-wise as far as how much China is producing right now. And since China is the biggest producer of goods for the world, that's not a good sign for our supply chains. Again, there's going to be a backlog of stuff.
Riots and protests at Foxconn certainly did not help that.
Right. So looking into Q1, this is a good transition. So with the China manufacturing number this past week not looking good, they're not going to be producing as much. We're currently we had a disappointing holiday season. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't terrible, but it was disappointing. We didn't see the numbers we were hoping for. And now we have like the biggest drop in the real estate market outside of 2008. 2007, 2008. This is the biggest real estate drop in price ever since World War II. I mean, we have all the signs there saying that we're going to have a bad Q1.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. We're going to see layoffs. They've already been talking about layoffs. Goldman Sachs has been talking about the financial market's going to have a lot of layoffs across the board. Other companies have already started their layoffs. You're going to see more and more companies doing job cuts because there's just not the revenue coming in to support the personnel. You're going to see unemployment go high. Now, by high, that's relative. How high are we going to go with unemployment? My guess, and this is just a guess, is pure speculation. I have no real science behind this, guys, but I'm looking at probably between 5 and 6% unemployment rate. Brandon, thoughts?
You think that'll happen in the first quarter?
I think we're probably going to see it start to move up in the first quarter. We may not peak in the first quarter as far as unemployment rate.
I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right. I think it'll be muted by the gig economy, because I think that there's still a lot of people out there that are not really searching for your regular 9 to 5 job. So I'm just blown away by the Take-Two balance sheet. I'm still looking at it right now. So looking at the cash flow statement here, capital expenditures for the quarter. And that's $99 million in capital expenditures. All right. $3.183 billion spent for the year on acquisition of business. So actually, I think that's probably going to be a little bit higher because of Zynga. The sale and maturity of investment, they've made $375 million. Purchase of investments, that was $8 million that they lost on that. Other investing cash flow came in at $124 million. Add all this up, because now you're looking at other investments and cash flow items total. They were down $2.691 billion in that category. Total cash from investing for this quarter came to negative $2.791 billion.
Man.
Jeez. I got excited about this too, because I think GTA 6 is coming out, and I think it's going to make a lot of money. But oh man, that balance sheet is awful.
They haven't had a good quarter since they released Red Dead 2.
And I think GTA 6 is going to be huge. At least I hope it is. But when we look at GTA and we look at Red Dead and stuff like that, we expect these blockbuster video games, and maybe that's a lot of the money that they're spending on is to make these blockbusters. But it's going to be a tough go until GTA 6 comes out and hopefully makes them, that billions and billions back.
Yeah, and people are getting bored. I mean, there's only so many times you can make a new Call of Duty or a new GTA or a new Red Dead. I mean, people want new content. We want to see different things. Where you have. I mean, we haven't seen any big blockbuster games in my generation. New ideas, new content coming out. I think the last big new content and new game series that came out that I can remember, correct me if I'm wrong, may have been God of War and or Skyrim. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think so. I don't think
you got Red Dead, Skyrim, and God of War. Those three have created the last big pushes in content. All right, so no, you got the Witcher series too as well. So I mean, I think what happened to the game designers from 2008 and 12 who created these series of The Witcher, God of War, Skyrim, and those, what happened to all those game designers is how I look at it. So if I was looking at it from an investment standpoint, and I was seeing all these mutual funds that did excellent during a certain period of time, I would be going back, okay, who was the fund manager during that time, and what happened to them? Why are they not still producing that content? And that would be my question for the industry. And then without new content that's really exhilarating for fans and people alike, you're not going to see. I mean, you got the esport revolution. And so people moved to PC markets where I think they moved to, and they moved to, League of Legends and what have you. And that whole movement took over that industry as far as investment wise.
And there's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions and stuff. But for example, Bethesda made the Skyrim series, or Elder Scrolls or whatever you want to call it. And now Bethesda is owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
So, but you would think a lot with the esports, EA Sports, even they're in the PC market as well. You'd think that they'd be doing well, but they're not really doing that well either.
It is what it is. I think I don't know. There's just too much to delve into there. What I want to look into, Brandon, and I'm doing a hard transition here. I'm taking this hard right, or a hard left, however you want to put it. I don't want to give one preference to another. But I'm taking a hard turn here, and Q1, we're looking for rough patches, downturns. What I'm viewing, what I'm looking for is a company that is going to be oversold, and a company that doesn't deserve to be oversold with the rest of the market. And I've talked about my watch list, right? That's where I put companies that I'm eyeing. I may not buy or sell them, but if I say I'm adding to my watch list, it means I have my eye on them. Some of the companies on my watch list right now, I got Amazon. Amazon's on the watch list, right?
Okay.
Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway's taken a beating recently. Um,
Still love
Apple,
Berkshire, and I'm still positive on it, so I'm happy.
right? And I'm positive on Berkshire as well, but like if it continues to go down, I might start sliding in some money there. Apple, we both voted that Apple would not be above 140 by the end of the year. We knew it was too many headwinds. You've posted a TikTok of me saying 180, it's sell. And that's what a call I made earlier this year is saying just sell at 180. It's overpriced. And we were right. And Apple now, okay, going in next year, we successfully made a good call on it going down. But where do we see Apple going for next year? Do we see Apple all right bouncing off of this, or do we see Apple continue to go down with the market?
I would buy Apple. I would buy Apple because it looks like the Chinese government gave in to the riots and the protests of COVID. They're giving up their zero COVID policy. It looks like they're reopening. I think the Foxconn plant's going to go back into operation again. I still think that Apple needs to explore other options outside of China because of the geopolitical landscape. But I would buy Apple right now.
Gotcha. All right. There you go, man. There you go. I got turned off by the semiconductors this year. I'm not looking at the semiconductors next year. I'm actually going to start going back in. There was a period probably between 2013 2016. I was big into pharmaceuticals, and I think I'm going to start adding more of those to my watch list. There was a report listed out this week that they are raising the pharmaceutical companies, the big ones, are raising prices on 40. Hold on, I have it up, and I want to say this correctly because I don't want to quote incorrectly here. So 350 drugs are going to have their prices raised in January, which is pretty typical. In January, they raise prices on drugs. But the call out by the author of the article was saying, why don't they price these better when they first come to market so they don't have to continually raise prices year over year, and just price it a little bit higher when it first comes to market. And that way you have that profit and revenue coming in. But my pushback on that for that author is, these pharmaceutical companies are still going to raise the prices. That's just the way they are being run. And so, I'd rather them come out for lower price at first and then slowly raise it every January. But 350 drugs that are commonly used on the market are going to have prices increase in January. And so I'm looking at pharmaceuticals, especially in a recession, because you still have to buy your medications. You still have to buy these things in order to get through our day-to-day business. And so pharmaceuticals is where I'm looking to be strong. Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble have always been a good recessionary buy because they stay consistent. So what do you think on that?
I like Procter & Gamble. I think the reason why they come out with the lower prices at first is because physicians that maybe not as familiar with the new drugs yet. And so, what a doctor's looking at, first of all, is what the effects are going to do, but then also what are the chances that my patient is actually going to take this drug. And if it's a cheaper purchase for the patient, then it's more likely that the patient will actually go to the pharmacy and pick it up. So lowering the prices at the very beginning makes it more likely that their drug will be bought. And then second of all, they can raise the prices over time as the efficacy of it is proven. So that's probably the reason for that. But yeah, I think that probably the pharmaceuticals would be one of the safest plays for the coming year.
There you go.
You can't, as far as consumer staples go, you can't be more of a staple than that.
Right? Exactly. Brandon, final thoughts for final episode of 2022, man.
It's going to be a tough year, I think, Dave. You said you're going to disagree with me on this, so I'm going to explore it a little bit. You still got almost all of the central banks in the world saying they're going to be raising interest rates through next year. And that's going to make it tough. I think it's going to be a tough year. I do think that we've priced a recession in. So if a recession does come and it winds up being mild next year, or if we somehow escape it, then the markets probably go up. The markets probably have more to look forward to in those situations than they do downside. So I think that that would be, but if the recession comes in and it's stronger than we expect, then there's going to be problems. Dave, I can't, like, I'm making this prediction, and I know essentially it comes out to being that the market's either going to go up or the market's going to go down.
John Madden, if this is going to go up, then you just buy. Right? I get it. Yeah.
So it's kind of useless almost, but you could see my thought process as to why I think it's going to be a tough year. And even with energy right now, China's reopening. That should be a bullish call for energy, but continuous raising of interest rates makes oil plays right now. Literally, it's the ultimate fight the Fed move. So I don't know about that either. I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see, I guess. And then it just comes down to, hey, if a company is a buy because it's at a good value, you buy it.
There you go. There's an article out there on the internet, guys. It's How to Value a Company. It's written by Brandon Beaver. I firmly believe at some point this year you're gonna have a short book on this come out, and you might want to buy it.
I should.
On how to value a company, and it will happen. I guarantee you it will happen. I guarantee you. I can't guarantee that. I'm hopeful it will be out and available for you guys to buy by the summer. But in the meantime, please check out the article online. How to value a company, and it's a great article. So in the year 2022, my final thought, guys. We try to give you as much information. We try to break down the definitions, how to define things, how to look at things, how do we come to these, how does Brandon and David come to these conclusions that this company is going to be good or this company is going to be bad? And we try to explain as best we possibly can. The reason why we go through such detail, sometimes you're like, I know what a dollar cost average is, or I know what this is, or what the Greeks mean, but there might be someone listening who doesn't, and we could help them also become smarter and better and wiser. And that's what our goal is, to help everybody make money. And we hope we're accomplishing that in some regard. If you only followed us on our bad calls, I'm sorry. I apologize. We're going to have some bad calls. It happens. We're not perfect. I think I dropped below my 85% correct rate this year because I ended the year on a skidding, but I'm still up on the year, right? So if you followed us on all our calls, you would be up. It's just, we're going to get some wrong from time to time, and that happens.
My portfolio is up 4% for the year, and that would normally, I would hate it. But given the fact that the S&P is down 20%, I'll take it.
Right? Exactly. And so, guys, I just want to end with this. I wish you guys all well. I wish everybody to make some good changes in the next year. I want everyone to succeed. Because if we all succeed as a group of people, right? Whether you're left wing, right wing, no wing, independent, whatever you are, if we all are succeeding and everybody's happy, then we all will be succeeding, right? So if everybody's making money, then that's a good thing, because that's going to help everybody else make money as well. And so that's what I want. It doesn't matter who you are, what race, what creed, what have you. I'm here to help you, no matter what you are, no matter if you disagree with me or not. I want to help you, and Brandon wants to help you, and we just want everybody to have a great year and, get your retirements in order, start saving money. My only goal, my only thing for next year right now, I'm going to say this, guys, is that when the recession hits and unemployment moves up, the person who has cash on hand and is not over in debt and not living paycheck to paycheck, that's the person that is going to be in the position to make a lot of money.
Boom.
Because they are going to be able to buy into the market, buy in on low price on housing, on stocks, on investments. They're going to be able to buy in. And then when the market moves back up, they're going to be selling and making a killing. That is where you want to be, guys. Pay off your debts, get out of paycheck to paycheck, grow some investments, put some money away, have cash on hand ready to go.
Yep, exactly.
All right, we hope you have a good, safe New Year's. We hope to see you next year. Reach out to us. Let us know if you want us to come and talk wherever you guys want us to come and talk. We'll come and We'll talk for free. We'll answer questions. As always, we hope we've been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good night.